Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to the alpha for Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today we continue our casual exploration of the unknown. Though today we're starting with this unnamed colony on a random jungle planet, which I imagine will lead to yet another horror story of House Winterscale. Let's see what new flavor of nightmare he's concocted for us. The cogitator screen is highlighting the shapes of several buildings. This small settlement, the only one on the planet, is a Winterscale Dynasty outpost. Of course it is. The lengthy descent and the landing reward you with a dismal sight. The entire outpost consists of long columns of uniform bunkhouses, machine hangars, and a large headquarters building topped with a massive antenna of an ancient Voxcaster. The binary suns hanging in the sky make every object cast two shadows, a spectacle you find vaguely disturbing. The custodian and his people go out of their way to give the esteemed guest a proper reception, but their resources are, at best, scarce. The warden shares alarming news. The outpost is highly dependent on various deliveries from the core Winterscale worlds, but two ships have already failed to arrive on schedule. The locals do not have an astropath of their own, so the custodian cannot find out the cause of the delays or request aid. The custodian sends a request for resources the outpost desperately needs. He is begging you for help, offering what little his settlement has in exchange. Okay, well, how do I actually do that? Apparently we have to deliver a specific type of cargo to them, but it isn't actually saying what kind of cargo. I guess we'll try again later once we've filled out some sets. The custodian thanks you dryly. There is obvious concern in his eyes. The return journey treats you to a rare and unexpected spectacle. An eclipse begins as one of the two local suns covers the other. You watch as the temperature drops, the lighting changes, the double shadows vanish, and two disks in the sky merge to create a shimmering oval at first, and then become one. Eventually, the fantastic event passes, leaving behind a vivid memory. Neat. So does our journal actually say what we need for this? It does not. Though, to be fair, this is the alpha. I have noticed some general wonkiness when it comes to the non-weapon and armor cargo sets, so it's possible this is just something we can't do until we at least hit the beta. The whispers have gone wild. We should go back into orbit. They're just muttering about who knows. It doesn't even sound like human language. Oh, I do not want to know what happened to this world. I'm sure that's fine. And then gas world, that's gonna be more plasma batteries, right? Oh, maybe not. The crew were treated to a truly impressive sight. A colossal storm on the gas giant's surface. The planet's dimensions in themselves were mind-boggling, and then it birthed a tempest, the storm to end all storms. As the Lord Captain and his officers observed it from a safe distance through the bridge's huge viewing windows, someone suggested giving it a name, and the Emperor's wrath garnered the most votes. Some in the crew believed the storm to be an omen. We can only hope it is an omen of great things to come. Yeah, here's hoping. And Dead World. Noticing a slight trend in this system. And nothing. Yeah, I guess that does track. It is a dead world. Okay, I guess that's it then. We've got that one outstanding quest on Jungle World, but otherwise we're pretty much done here. Next up, Cradle of Khepri. The steady rhythm of life aboard the vessel was disrupted when, on the second day of the voyage, the lower decks had their gravity reversed. The stunned denizens of the afflicted sectors were woken up by being torn from their assigned beds and tossed onto the ceiling. Numerous injuries and fatalities were reported. The difficulties in performing regular duties due to the gravity reversal continued until the end of the journey. After the ship exited the warp, the gravity returned to the accepted norm. An event that was, once again, accompanied by deaths and injuries among the crew. That is unfortunate, but I suppose it could have been worse. Not that I'm trying to downplay the gravity of the situation. Hey, a destroyed ship. That might be the supplies that Jungle World is waiting on. Huh. Well, I guess I can't click on that. That seems peculiar. But we move on for now. Ash World. Loot cache. Oh, another Archaeotech mechanism fragment. That's 2 now. So maybe that destroyed ship out on the asteroid belt was the ship that was carrying this? Maybe? Why would they mark that if we can't actually interact with it? Ice World. Oh, landing site. That's unexpected. And Promethium. We'll take that. Let's clear that last planet before we get sidetracked. Steppe World. You're not my real world. A modest source of xenotech, sure. And I think we actually had an order for Promethium. Yeah, fuel for the faithful. Though we are still far short of the amount they've actually requested. Alright, let's go check out Ice World. And we've got another level up in the queue. Fantastic. That was quick. Happy to serve you, your lordship. Happy to be served. Okay, let's have a look at our level ups. Rhett gets a characteristic boost, and I'm thinking we'll bump agility? We did just pick up It Will Not Die, so I feel like toughness is a lower priority now. Oh yeah, that boosts our demolition too, so that's a no-brainer.
What ails you?
Heinrichs. Heinrichs gets a double upgrade. A skill and a talent. Let's see here. Burst into battle. Bonus damage when charging, which we do all the time. That's a strong possibility. Oh, and Combat Master. That one removes the gang up modifiers. Plus, we've still got Nimble. Nimble's a solid upgrade, too. I think we've got to give it to Combat Master. We are constantly throwing Heinrichs into giant mobs of foes. And then for skills... it's got to be Athletics. He's our only Athletics guy. I mean, technically he's also our only Carouse guy, but that hasn't really come up much. Aside from the 1 or 2 times we poisoned ourselves back on Footfall. Pascal gets a talent as well, and... We have some interesting options here. Personal strategy is actually not bad, though I feel like Cassia would get more leverage out of that. Yeah, I feel like a lot of these stratagem enhancements are just too niche to see regular usage. You know what, we'll just keep this simple. One of Pascal's weaknesses is his lack of mobility, so we'll just grab Swift Movement. Certainly not one of our more exciting options, but one I feel like we'll just get a lot more regular use out of. As for Cassia, however, I think we will take Personal Strategy. That'll allow her to take full advantage of her Bulwark and Assault stratagems, bumping her own defense and allowing herself to emergency evac as needed.
Should I divine our next step?
After that, we've got the Assassins, who get characteristics, very straightforward. So I think that'll be a ballistics bump for Adira. She's definitely falling behind there. Yeah, I think we bumped Will last time around. And as for Yerliette, I guess we'll go with her ballistics as well. Yeah, I think that's good enough for now. I might go back and tweak some of that later, but for now, let's push on. Such a peaceful scene, the likes of which I haven't seen in a long time. No bright flashes, no riot of colors, just pure white canvas. Well, now you've said that, I expect things to take a turn for the worse any minute now. Be on your guard. Smart man, Heinrichs. He is really growing on me. Two skeletons are lying in strange positions, as if one was either carrying or hugging the other, and did not let go, even in death. Their gear is badly damaged and decayed. There are three things worthy of note. Fragments of some sort of devices that both skeletons carried on their belts, some shiny trinkets in the remains of the carried skeleton's bag, and an old portable cogitator in the other's bag. The pieces of broken tech suggest that this was a rudimentary radar jammer, an item commonly utilized by pirates in the Corona sector. The trinkets are clearly of Xenos origin. They are miscellaneous, time-worn items that have no particular value. One can assume that they are petty trophies looted from several corpses. The cogitator has been exposed to the elements for decades, or even centuries. It is a small miracle that you are able to extract a fragment of a Vox recording. Apparently, the last communications. We're rich! Chaos, take me! Rich! Fly, for crying out loud, spit it out. What have you found? Rich! Screw footfall. Coronas can go to the orcs. We're out of here. Calixis, here we come. Yeah, because with our record, Calixis is definitely the place to go. What makes you think life's better there, anyway? I want a house on some planet, a mansion, with a lion statue at the entrance. It'll have a servitor with one job, dusting my lion statue. Fly, you idiot. You're still on a dangerous planet. Quit sending me your hollowing. Get back here, or just tell me what you found already. Fly. Fly, you coming? I'm coming for you, dumbass. If you're not responding just to mess with me, you're dead meat. Interesting. Okay, so based on the context, these were both pirates. The scout Fly came down and got excited by something they found, likely xenotech based on what was in their pockets, but then got injured or killed, and the other one came down to recover them but met the same fate. Which I'm guessing is related to whatever is going on over here. We've got a generator and a Vox tower. And more remains. The skeleton in decayed tech priest robes is missing its right leg. Judging by what remains of the bones, the leg was hacked off. It seems the person was still alive when it happened, and they reached this spot by crawling rather than walking.
Operation successful.
The motionless servo skull shows no sign of damage. Looks like it hovered next to its dead master until its battery ran down. Intriguing. So, were the tech priests here before or after the pirates? What are you gawking at, Iceman? Merely taking a professional interest? Nothing more?
I'll lay claim to the stars.
I'm assuming this is Imperial tech. It looks pretty conventional. It is impossible to determine to whom these bones belonged, just by looking. Ah, crap. I wish we'd made that check. Xenos tech implies non-human, but identifying those remains would have given us a better idea of what we're dealing with here.
Something of interest.
Suspicious snowdrift.
My success is an irrefutable
There is some kind of mechanism hidden beneath the fake snowdrift. You were not able to reach it, but it seems you managed to put it out of action. Oh, so does that mean... Well, no, that's kind of a chaotic jumble, but perhaps some of these wires lead to other similar devices? If so, we must have flubbed our alertness checks. Ah.
Oh, I noticed something.
Patience has
Did you?
failed me.
Did you notice something, Rat? I also noticed something. It was Adira being immediately riddled with bullets. Alright, so just looking at these things, I think it's pretty clear this is Dark Eldar tech. Those look like the turrets on their combat skimmers. Yeah, see, I never played a lot of Warhammer 40k, but I joined in right when they introduced the Dark Eldar, so I am at least familiar with their models. Nice.
Another clean strike.
The extent of my experience with the actual core Warhammer 40k universe was Dark Eldar, early Dark Eldar, when they were made of the weird, softer plastic, and the Salamander chapter of the Space Marines, when their special box set was briefly available. Lots of flamers, lots of heavily armored land vehicles. But then I quickly discovered that the skirmish level games were more my speed, so I got a lot more into Mordheim, Necromunda, Gorka Morka. Ow.
I won't go down easy.
Heinrichs, buddy, please watch where you're walking.
Let's see to it.
Man, I wish they'd make a proper adaptation of at least one of those old skirmish-level specialist games. Mordheim was okay, but way too easy to game. Necromunda was a garbage fire, which is a shame because that was one I was really looking forward to. And Gorka Morka. Poor Gorka Morka. The closest they got to a video game was a canceled arena vehicle shooter way back, like 20 years ago. Never actually got released, though, because that was something I was keeping tabs on at the time. But honestly, the fact that it was a live-action, multiplayer, online-only game really kind of killed it for me anyway. Especially since that was the early era of console online games, you know, where you had to pay to be abused by random strangers over the internet.
Just guide me.
Not my idea of a good time, but you know, to each their own. And I say that as a former competitive FPS gamer. Oh boy, I was really hoping we'd avoid a crossfire situation, but I guess we'll just have to hunker down and hope for the best.
Isn't this a job for the serfs? If I may? Me? If you insist, Lord Captain.
Ah, Yurliet, why? Okay, fingers crossed. Try not to die. Oh, that wasn't bad at all. After that first opening round, I was really expecting worse. Nice. And now it's just cleanup. Please mind the mines, Heinrichs. Very nice. One more. And we're good. Mostly. Nobody move. Rhett, I'm gonna need you to disarm all of these. Ow. Okay, so radius is significantly wider than the red circle would indicate. Also, I'm fairly certain it said that the disarm check was Xenoslore, not demolitions, like it said when I first moused over. Which, you know, I'll chalk up to an oddity of the alpha. I mean, it does make sense. These are some sort of Dark Eldar monofilament razor wire traps or something. So I guess we should have Pascal lead on this.
Ready for data input.
Al. My goodness. So even with the right skill, our chances are still pretty minimal. Oh, you know what? I should have boosted Yurliet's intelligence, not her ballistics, because I was planning on making her our new lead on Xenoslore. I might change that off screen. Torture device. Yep, this is Dark Eldar tech. Oh, hey, you actually made that one. Nice.
My knowledge has its limits.
The turret is seriously damaged. Nothing of value can be gained from it now. Boo. But fine. It actually doesn't make that big a difference, because I have noticed that all of the non-weapon and armor set cargo packs aren't really kind of properly tracking the cargo you put in them. It gives you 1% no matter what the value or quantity of the stacks you pick up are. Hence why we're basically never filling out any of those non-combat sets. Which again, you know, this is the alpha. That's something I'm sure they'll fix by beta or launch.
Knowledge is eternal.
Oh, we have a chest. Which might be destroyed by that mine if we set it off. That's fun. This unsettling structure is adorned in strange masks vaguely resembling the antenna of a powerful transmitter. At its base, you see a cogitator and a few other devices. It seems that some part of the structure is buried underground. You identify a number of elements of the structure. The long-range antenna of a design standard for Imperial colonies, the cogitator, the Aldari beacon, and half a dozen other devices of varied origin. They all have one thing in common. This tech is designed to transmit basic signals to neighboring space, the most common being requests for assistance and ship distress codes. Noticing the interest with which Pascal is surveying the construct, Heinrichs asks, "Are you studying the device? Isn't its very existence a violation of the protocols of assembly?" The tech priest's tone is pensive, and his visor flashes.
This statement is true. This construct has been assembled in contravention of canon law, and must certainly be disassembled. But not quite yet.
Oh, Pascal, you scoundrel. You managed to penetrate the cogitator's defenses. Its function is rather simple. The program is designed to activate the transmitter once every 5 years, and send out a ship distress signal into space. To lure in victims, right, okay. You destroy the program and disable the transmitter. No one will respond to this sinister signal ever again. And just to be sure, you set the charges carefully. Without a doubt, the structure will be destroyed with expert precision, along with the underground part. Had a hefty chunk of XP for that one. Alright, let's see if we can get this thing, and then I think we're done here.
Watching the lazy handle sacred technology breaks my heart. Figuratively speaking,
Ow.
cardiovascular augmentation can withstand much more than high blood pressure.
Well, at least the loot survived. The explosion exposes the channel of a cable leading away from the transmitter. This is probably not the only element of the trap. Huh. Yet another Drukhari clave. And a shuriken pistol. That's fun. Man, I don't know if exotic weapons count as solid projectile weapons for purposes of our solid weapon expertise. If it does, that might actually be a solid upgrade on our revolver. Ooh, fire grenades. So did blowing up the tower actually reveal something else? Because nothing's really jumping out at me. You know what? Well, I'll give the place another pass off screen, but I think we're done here.
There.
That was an interesting side trick, though. I do wonder if the tower was actually set up by Dark Eldar just to claim victims every 5 years, or if it was actually like an elaborate pirate trap or scavenger trap or something. The hodgepodge Xenos and Imperial tech kind of implies a pirate or scavenger operation. I don't really recall anything about Dark Eldar repurposing Imperial tech. And let's take one more pass on this ship. That is really bugging me. Oh, it actually worked this time. I have no idea why it worked this time and not the other three, but I'll take it. Not that there's really much to write home about here. These sorts of caches will be a lot more valuable once they fix that cargo bug. Each of those stacks only counted as 1%, despite the multiple quantities. There's our route to Palatium Stellos. And we have an easy route back to Trinitos. We'll just have to make it a bit safer first. A trickle of disturbing news came from the navigation chambers over the last few days. Allegedly, there is a vast shadow following the void ship through the depths of the Sea of Souls. Mere hours before emerging in real space, the vessel shuddered. An unidentified Leviathan had emerged from the roiling warp, wrapping its tentacles around the ship, and started squeezing, trying to crack the hull like an egg. Oh my, Well, I mean, this is what Cassie is trained for, so... The ship's navigator engaged the warp monster in invisible combat by giving orders from her chamber. By following the Astronomicon's guiding light and struggling against the mighty alien will seeking to break her at the same time, the guide managed to pry the void vessel from the nightmarish creature's grasp and execute an emergency transition to real space. With minimal losses among the crew, and new insights into the nature of warp entities. Hey, all's well that ends well. Except for the people who died. But, to be fair, at this point I feel like every warp is going to cost us some lives, so, you know. Just the cost of doing business? Question mark? We have a named planet. Grantis. Not one of ours. We've still got some time. Let's have a look. We'll start with this, since it might be a combat encounter. An unknown ship hails you as soon as you're in its detection range. The ship, the Scarlet Pursuer, helmed by Captain Demir Shani, has Footfall listed as its home port. The message hints transparently at a connection with the Kaspalika mission. The Voxmaster adds that the captain has a proposal for you. Okay, sure, why not? The ship lets you know they'll be happy to reward you for any information on burning worlds in the Coronis Expanse. Really? Why is that? The reply is as courteous as it is vague. The captain cites a researcher's interest in this understudied type of world. Upon hearing the message, Magos Pascal expresses a keen interest in burning worlds, and asks the Lord Captain to take that issue into consideration. Jay Haydari immediately voices her strong disbelief that Captain Demir would ever dash about the void in pursuit of a researcher's interest, but rather only for a very good profit, which suggests that the Lord Captain, too, might want to look into these burning worlds. Seneschal Wersurian makes no comment regarding the Kaspalika message, but is amazed that, for once, the esteemed Magos and Miss Haydari are in passionate agreement on something. Yeah, you know what? I think I am also in agreement. They wouldn't be asking for this info if there wasn't some profit to be had from it, so... We'll get back to you on that, buddy. Once we've had a chance to look into it ourselves. You received the Scarlet Pursuer's projected itinerary. Information on systems in which you can find it later. The captain will be happy to meet you again, and get information on burning worlds, should you have it. Oh, so they actually move around. That's neat. Well, either that or they're setting up to ambush us when we inevitably discover whatever it is they're really looking for. I'm guessing it's more the latter than the former. Alright, let's clear the rest of the system. Ice World. Plasteel, we'll take that. Bumps us up to 34. I think that's actually enough for us to actually fill another order. Yeah, look at that. A favor. Lord Inquisitor Calcazar's servants have been buying up top-quality plasteel and transporting it to an unknown location. While the nature of the Lord Inquisitor's secretive grand-scale manufacturing operation remains unknown, the names of those who are assisting him are uttered with great respect. Respect is good. Plus 10 profit factor is better. So at this point, we just have 2 orders left. I thought more orders turned up over time, but maybe that's just not implemented yet. So we just need 19 more Promethium and 5 more people. Plus assorted resources for our colony projects, of course. Dead World. Brought to you by George Romero. Yep, that's pretty dead. And Grantis. Oh wow, really? Nothing. The planet is laced with pulsating veins, strands woven from pain. But what are they? An oddity of the past? Or a warning from the future? Mildly unsettling. Really though, the big question is why would they name this planet if there's nothing to find here? Unless, of course, it's important later. I guess we'll find out eventually. And no more adjoining sectors, so at this point we're just headed back to Furibundus. There was a commotion on the lower decks. The chief mutant hunter, who is responsible for eliminating heresy in the hold of the Void ship, went mad due to the perilous influence of the warp. The officer climbed to the parapet above the central accelerator complex and threatened to jump unless the entire crew immediately submitted to a rigorous examination to uncover physical deformities and unholy perversions. After calculating the time and financial cost of the inspection of thousands upon thousands of crew members, and consulting the tech priest about the danger of foreign materials getting into the intake of the accelerator complex, the deranged mutant hunter was graciously allowed to proceed with ending his life in the desired manner. Yeah, that tracks. That does sound cost-effective. Okay, let's go ahead and refine this route. And back to Trinitos. We'll swing by Foulstone while we're there, see if we can get another project going. A mysterious sickness struck the clan living in one of the macro cannon chambers. The disease quickly spread, causing the afflicted to writhe with unbearable stomach cramps and expire after several days of agony. Before the officers could react, the neighboring clans took the issue into their own hands and flooded the chamber with carbon monoxide. The macro cannon was put back into service, and the vigilantes were punished for subjecting the rogue trader's servants to mob justice. Wow, they really make travel depressing. Can't we just have an uneventful trip every once in a while? Is that too much to ask for? Alright, let's see what we've got here. Looks like all our planet boosts have taken effect. That's nice. And no luck on projects. We need to boost our rep with the various factions. And acquire some other resources that we haven't actually encountered yet, like weapons and mechanisms. Unless weapons are complete weapon cargo bundles, which I've been selling. Shoot. But I mean, we have to sell those, because otherwise we wouldn't be gaining rep with any of the factions. Again, I imagine that'll be a bit easier to manage once they fix up the whole cargo system. The warp jump was a success, but the Voxmaster reported the following incident. Beautiful blossoming vines had covered the deck and bulkheads in loading bay 6. 2 workers had bent down to take a better look at the flowers, and the vines had devoured their faces before strangling them. The bay was then sealed and purged. Sure, just another day in the warp. Alright folks, we're past time and we're back at Footfall, so I feel like this is a good place to call it. Interesting episode today. No real major events, but the ice planet sojourn was intriguing. I also need to go back and fix Yurliet's level up, and of course offload our cargo here, though. I might retain a couple of weapon sets, maybe? I don't know. I'm not even sure we'll do that project, so it might not be worth bothering with. Especially since we're getting pretty close to actually bumping our rep with Kaspalika. Regardless, we'll hit the pause button for now. I'll get that stuff figured off screen, and we will pick up here next time, as we set our sights on the north or western sections of the Coronis Expanse. You know, Space North or Space West. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Dragon Matrix 7, Mathew Smith, Revenant, Alois, Drakiith, V23, EgonAlter, Emile, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.